Hi everybody. Welcome, welcome. Come on in. I'll just wait a few minutes while I wait for some of you to come in. Thank you so much for joining me here today. This is the first Facebook Live broadcast for Get Comfy with Money. I'm the founder. My name's Leah, for those of you who don't know me. And today I'm really excited to introduce you to this new format that I wanted to do, which is just having some conversations with some amazing women. So today I want to introduce you to my very first guest on my very first live subject. So let me know that you're here in the comments below. I'd love to know who you are, where you're calling in from or listening from, because I know that this is worldwide, so I know we have people all over the world. Today we're going to be talking, as you know, about finance and flow. Now this is an idea that I've had sitting on the back burner for quite a while, as it's something that I'm really passionate about, and I've been implementing it more and more into my own life and into my own business. So I find that my cycles affect so many things of how I function day by day, month by month, and it started actually to become like a real priority for me in trying to figure out the best way I can get results, and also so I can live my best personal life. Hey Jaya, lovely to see you. Hey Danite, so good that you're here. I think we've got some people from Australia, from England. So basically this holistic approach, which is something around the cycle that's kind of new thinking to me, and it's something that's really been sparked by Davila Thompson. So she's an incredible woman. She's also a friend, and she happens to be my sister-in-law too. Now, Davila has devoted so much time to discovering how much our cycle affects our lives. So I'm really honored that I'm able to welcome her and that we can talk a bit further about this subject. So with this, I want to talk slightly about the idea of the concept of living with your flow, but also, especially when it comes to managing your finance. We'll give a warm welcome to Davila. She's coming in right now, all the way from Sydney, Australia. It's the evening, Sunday evening. Hi, Davila.
Hi.
How are you?
I was about to say good morning, but
Good morning.
It's not good morning here.
Yes, no, it's evening for me too. Hi,
Yes.
Megan. Lovely to hear you or see you. I'm going to do a little wave here. Cool. So, how are you feeling tonight? Tell me, you got tea?
Oh,
Yeah?
I'm feeling good. I've got my tea. I'm pretty relaxed. Baby girl is sleeping. Yeah, this is like my prime time. This is my time to be.
Amazing. That's cool.
Yeah.
So
How are you?
Oh, me? How am I? I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm good. It's the end of the weekend. It's been pretty busy and nice, and feeling relaxed now, and just excited to have a little chat with you about this subject and share it with some other people too. So yeah. So what I'd really like to do today is, if I've got a few questions for you, I'd love to talk more about the cycles, and then we can maybe, if you don't mind, I'd love to start looking at them in relation to me, and like how I can maybe implement them in my business and with my finances. And then at the end, if we have any time, if anyone's got questions, I'd love if we can maybe answer some of those questions, if that sounds good to you.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Cool. So let's start off. Davila, tell us, what does it mean to live with your flow?
Yes. So living with your flow is mostly, I focus this on if you are a female with female physiology, mostly focusing on someone who has a womb, someone menstruating, right? So we go through these different phases throughout our month. We call this our cycle, right? 28-day cycle, as many of you might know. So it's about a month, and sometimes you know it as that time of the month, right? So you have a period, and we forget that we have the time of the month, and then it's over, and then we move on with our life. But what's really happening for the rest of our cycle is that we're going through this hormonal shift, and we have to start looking at what's happening to us after our period, the week after our period, 2 weeks after, what's happening right before our period starts. Why are we feeling stressed during certain times, and why are we feeling so energized we want to jump off the roof and dance with our friends? So it's really important that we figure out how we can change our life so we can listen to our body, and not just listen to us when we're not in the mood, but also listen to the changes that our body's going through, so we could adjust and accompany our social life, our relationships, our work life, to what we're actually capable of doing today and this week and this phase that we're in at the moment.
Amazing. So it's definitely looking as a whole rather than just isolating that time of the month.
Exactly. And that time of the month is also important, and it's very good that many people do know it as okay, I have my period, I'm going to rest a bit, I'm going to cancel my plans. But how else could we be productive the rest of the month? What else could we do? It's not, we don't just rest on that day and then the other, 20 days we're running around doing the same exact thing. No, we have 4 different phases, right? So if I go through them, can I go
Yes.
through them? I'm going
Yeah,
to go through
absolutely.
them. We start typically, so the first phase is our about 7 days, it's your period, your bleeding, menstruation. The second phase is called your follicular phase, and that's because it's the follicular stimulating hormone increases in your body. Pretty much what's happening is the eggs in our ovaries live in little follicles, and they're being stimulated to get them ready to be released, right? They're getting ready. Next phase after that is ovulation. So those eggs are released. Ideally, our body wants us to maybe get pregnant, meet a sperm. If not, that's fine. Um, so that's another entire phase, about another week there. And then you have that next week, which is the week before your period starts, called your luteal phase. And that's where your hormones start to drop now, and you're getting ready to, well, if you're going to bleed again because you're not pregnant, your body's getting ready to release your flow. That's what everyone usually calls your period, your flow, but your flow really happens the entire cycle.
Amazing. So, Jaya, you just made an interesting point. You thought I had a finance business. Yes, I do. So, for those of you who've just joined, just to keep you up to speed with what we're talking about today, the subject's finance and flow. So, we want to look at the cycle, the menstrual cycle, and how it affects how we are at different times of the month. And we're going to go into detail a little bit later as to how we can implement that with our finances, with our businesses, so we can make sure at different times of the month we're able to really show up and do our best in different areas of our lives. So we're just getting a bit of an overview now from Davila, who's giving us some information on the different phases of our cycle. She's mentioned there are 4 different cycle phases, and other than the kind of physical symptoms that we're quite used to, or even the emotional ones like mood swings or PMS or cramps, how about the more hormonal changes? Can you tell us a little bit more about those?
Yeah, definitely. So when you're menstruating, when you're on your period, hormone levels are at their lowest, right? So if we think of this on a graph, we're here at the low. When your period's done, you might feel that rush of energy to start, get out there, you feel really light. Your hormones are actually rising then, and they're getting higher and higher. And then you're ovulating, they just start to keep going, and then they peak.
Mm-hmm.
And they peak right after ovulation during your luteal phase, so that you have those, so your body's now ready, it's done what it has to do, your hormones now start to drop. And in that phase before your period, a lot of people might feel very PMSy,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of mood swings. What's really happening are your hormones are dropping steadily. Before they went high, they're dropping steeply. Before they went up steadily, now they're not at all. They're
Very
dropping,
dramatic.
they're going down. So naturally, you're kind of feeling overwhelmed. So it's important. What we'll talk about today is how you can still approach your business and your money
Mm.
and your finances when you have these ups and downs. And it's so you don't get stressed out. That's the whole point of this, to reduce stress and let you be more happy, and also enhance your productivity.
Amazing. So, yeah, you've touched on it a little bit. So, there's other areas as well, aren't there, when we think of things like our appetite or our mood or energy levels? So it's not just the hormonal changes or that affects us, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, the hormones are affecting us, right? So that's
Got
going
it.
to affect our physical, emotional, and mental health in different ways. Um, so the way you want to eat could also change. Once your period is over, you might feel really light. So you might be craving more light and vibrant foods. Maybe you're interested in more salads. And then as you get closer to your period, with that feeling, that drop, you want to be more cozy naturally. And that's where the comfort food and the desire to have that, which is okay. But it's nice to know you can save those instead of cheat day. Think of it as cheat
Yeah.
week, maybe. But still, I cheat every day if that's a thing. But we won't go into that. Um, and yeah, so, and also for the way you move your body also should change throughout that month just based on your energy levels. When you're
Makes
feeling
sense.
it, do a dance workout. When you have a lot of energy in you to expel, um, do a high intensity interval training type of CrossFit, and then tone it down as you get closer to your period. Gentle yoga, slow walking, nothing if you want when your period actually comes, and then you just kind of follow in that cycle
Mm.
and give yourself a bit of a routine.
I love that. So
So
we need to be thinking more cyclically rather than in like a linear line, right?
yeah, exactly.
Great.
Exactly.
So
The point of this, oh,
no,
go
go on.
on. Well, the point of this is to bring awareness so that we understand in our society we've been designed to live our lives as a 24-hour cycle. You know, everything happens, you wake up, you do this, you go to bed, you wake up the next day, you kind of do the same thing. We do the same thing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, the next week we do the same thing again. And it's not working for a lot of women. And I'm focused on women here, because we don't operate that way. We
Mm.
don't go to sleep one night and feel, oh, completely different the next day. We kind of go to bed and we feel the same for a few days, and then things shift. And then we feel, okay, we feel this way now for 7 days, and then we shift again. So the point here is to show that you don't have to go day by day. Think of it as week by week, phase by phase.
I like
That's better.
that. It's so much more. It kind of brings a sense of peace to me, because I'm like, a lot of the time you feel like you don't know why you feel a certain way. So if you can start kind of picking up on those cues and observing it in your body, it seems relaxing.
Yeah.
So is there something people seem to misunderstand about our cycles other than what we've already spoken about?
Um, well, yeah, about I guess about the whole 24-hour versus 28
Mm-hmm.
days. Um, some people misunderstand it in that if they don't have a period every single month, or they don't have a period at all, there's still a way that they could live their life according to a cycle. And there's a lot of research on this with women following the lunar phases as well. So just knowing that, okay, sometimes people hear the menstrual cycle and they brush it off because maybe they're on birth control, hormonal birth control, maybe they're postmenopausal, but there are still ways that you can use these exact same 4 phases, if you follow your life according to the lunar phases as well, which is easy. You just look up what's happening. Okay, let's see. Let's focus my business on based on what I see up there and what your calendar says.
Awesome. So now maybe let's move a little bit into the financy side or the business side. So
Yeah.
I'd love to kind of, for me, this is a big one, because obviously I like to plan my month. I like to think about what I'm doing, what I'm focusing on. And if I can
Mhm.
implement it in a way that's more holistic like this, I think it would mean I'd be more productive, or maybe not feel so bad in times when I'm not productive, which is something I definitely am guilty of feeling. So would we be able to look at a month as an example and maybe kind of figure out what we can focus on in each phase, from a financial and business point of view?
Yeah, that's actually really fun. Let's do that.
Okay.
Let's do that. That's cool.
So where should we start? Which phase?
Let's start. I feel like it's good to start the week your period is over, so your follicular phase.
Okay.
Just because that is where your energy levels start to rise. So
Okay.
um, so typically this is called phase 2, right? And this is your follicular phase. So I see it as creation.
Mm-hmm.
These are the words that come up for me when it relates to like business and finance, and even any productivity, any kind of admin you need to do. This is planning, creation. You have a dream, thinking of your visions.
Mm-hmm.
You have your brain has been opened up a bit this week since you've kind of shed off what happened last cycle. Your body's now shifted, your energy levels are rising, so your brain's really open to new things. You're open to creativity, um, critical thinking. So I think it's a good time to start planning
Mm-hmm.
for what you plan on doing next. So from a financial point of view, this could be budgeting, right?
Yep.
So maybe at this point you start to make a blueprint of what your money goals are
Okay.
this year, next year. Even if you can only think about for a few weeks, what are your money goals this cycle? What do you want to bring in this cycle? What do you want to manifest? What should be happening for you there? So
Oh, we just lost Davila there. I don't know where she's gone. Hopefully she asks to come back. We're just talking about how the female cycle, or the woman's menstrual cycle, or lunar cycles, depending on where you are. Oh, sorry, she's coming right now. I'm just going to add her back into the chat. We're just talking about how those affect how we run our businesses or how we run our finances. We lost you for a second there, Davila.
am I back? Oh,
You're back.
okay. Oh, that was so weird. It's like Facebook just knocked me off. I wasn't touching anything. Okay.
So I could just see a few comments from Jaya there as well. I'd love to just address those. So she
Yeah,
says she feels hungry the day before and always feel good here and slim and less bloated and way more productive. I'm assuming she's
yes.
talking about
Oh, when
follicular
her
cycle.
period's over. Yes,
Mm.
that's exactly. So look, I'm actually in my follicular phase right now. So I feel all of those things. I'm feeling like really good. I feel light. Not like I really lost weight or anything. I just feel light. I feel like my energy is easy. I feel like I'm floating. Um, yeah, this is a good time. So feeling that way and knowing that you want to go and get things off on your to-do list, right? You want to start moving. But it's also important to know in when your period is done and you're feeling this way, don't go all in right away, right?
Mm.
Because this is where burnout happens. So just know that in this phase, you're gonna sit down and plan. Don't jump out and go to that dance party next door, right? Just yet, right? Slow down, slow down. You just got your energy back. Start planning when you're going to go to your dance party. And that kind of leads us into like the next phase, your ovulation, when you're ovulating. And this now brings us to where our communication skills are heightened in this week. So it's really good if we use them, whether it's for social reasons, which is how I typically use it, but with the business, um,
Maybe networking.
networking.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
exactly.
that's
You want to go and meet new people. You're able to express yourself much better. Oh, my baby's crying if you can't hear her in the background. I don't have to get that right now. She's okay. Um, yeah, so your communication skills are better. You want to collaborate more. You want more face to face. So this is either scheduling really difficult conversations, perhaps, that you might want to have with your teammates, starting off your initial sales. So initial customers. So maybe starting off with that first meeting with them because
yeah.
you're
So
feeling so good and you're able to express yourself in your best light,
so you
you
could put
know?
those all in that week. Like some people have consults where they meet with clients beforehand, kind of to do proposals. So that type of stuff works
Hmm.
well in ovulation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would definitely say that, especially if you're talking about price,
Mm-hmm.
because this is where you want to communicate really well. And sometimes talking about money, as you know, can be quite awkward. So it's a really good time to maybe you openly say, okay, just so you know, these are my price range. Maybe you're trying out a new pricing strategy as well, and you're seeing how that goes. This is definitely the best time to do that when you're ovulating because you are so
Interesting.
confident. Nothing can really go wrong in your mind. And if they say no, like you don't feel down. You're not, your hormones aren't dropping, so you're not also getting upset about something else at the same time. You're kind of handling anything that comes your way really well during this week. And
So
if
for
you're
example,
not
yeah.
setting prices, if you work, if you have an employer too, this is a good time to ask for a raise. If you've been planning to ask for a raise for a while, do it, plan it when you're ovulating
That's
because
what I
you'll
was
feel
going to
good.
say. So maybe you look
Mhm.
at your diary ahead of time and you go, okay, so I've just started my period, which means ovulation will be roughly during that time of the month.
Mhm.
So you can put it in your diary, talk to boss, or as you
Yeah,
said,
just schedule the
trial
meeting.
new pricing. Yeah. Okay, cool. So
Exactly.
that's ovulation. And where do we go next?
So next is your luteal phase, and this one can be a bit longer. It's sometimes 7 to 10 days. I've once had like a 14-day luteal phase. Post birth, my phases have been quite weird. So this isn't always set. They're not also they're not all just 7 days. They very much vary, just how we all very different. Um, so your luteal phase, you still have a little bit of energy, right? But you might not want to expend all that energy going out and doing a lot of social interactions. Maybe you don't schedule your networking, but you use that energy to check things off your to-do list. So
Okay.
back in your follicular phase, go back to your blueprint. What was it that you wanted to get done this month? What are the things you need to do to achieve those goals? And what can you knock off this cycle, at least to check them off? Whether it's just one thing or two things, look at your to-do list um, and fill in the gaps there. If you were creating or outlining new content during your follicular phase 2 weeks ago, this would be a really great time to review, edit what you've done, change things, and wrap up. And
So
then yeah,
yeah,
go on.
yeah. So if I was creating, say, a new online course during follicular, I would have been writing out the kind of outline, and but then now
Mhm.
during luteal, this is where I would be like filming it, editing it, kind of wrapping it up, ready to put it out there.
That's exactly that, right. And definitely looking at what you've already created and figuring out. You can even continue to write that to-do list, and you can write new content. You're still creative in this week.
Mm-hmm.
Even though you were, outlining it before, definitely allow yourself to continue outlining this week. You're able to focus more this week. So take advantage of that and try not to get too distracted. Sometimes we get so focused and then we suddenly, which are still good things, we start doing chores around our house, especially while we're all working from home. So try to make sure, since you know that you can get distracted really easily, make sure you're staying focused on something. You have a really good workspace, because this is the best week for you to crank things out. You're going to save the annoying life admin tasks for this week as well.
Oh,
So
okay.
bring that all in.
That's good, because I kind of feel guilty a lot of the time that I haven't done all of the life admin. So again, it's that idea of forward planning where you can go, okay, during luteal, right? That's what we're still talking about. Yeah. So during luteal phase, I can, I don't know, do my bills, pay my bills, make sure my team have all the to-dos that they need for whatever tasks I've asked them for. I can sit down and kind of knuckle it out during that time without thinking I have to be doing it all month.
Yes, that's exactly it. And just and knowing that you don't have to push yourself too. So in preparation for the next week, where you're about to go through menstruation, which is sometimes called, new moon. So you don't want to do these things next week. So make sure you set yourself up this week so that in your luteal phase, so that when you are on your period, you can actually take that proper break that you really need. You don't want to raise your cortisol levels when they're already really high.
Got it. Just before we go on to the last phase, I just wanted to, I've seen a few people have joined us. So just letting you know that we're here, this is Finance and Flow. We're talking about how finances and our menstrual cycle can be connected and used to our advantage rather than to hinder us. So we're speaking with Davila, and at the moment we're just talking through the 4 different phases that we go through. So we've covered 3 of them, and now we're going on to the menstruation part. So Davila's just giving me some advice on how I can choose specific tasks that would allow me to be the most productive and gentle on myself, is probably a good thing to say too during that time of the month. So shall we move on to menstruation?
Yeah.
The grumpy Jaya says.
I know. It's unfortunate because the grumpiness is sometimes brought on by us trying to do too much. But we can find a lot of love on us if we, like I just said, structure your tasks. So when you're menstruating, to avoid being grumpy, think of this time as you should be evaluating. You should be maybe reviewing, analyzing. You're kind of sitting back. You're kind of taking yourself out of your body and looking at what you've done. What did I do last cycle? What worked for me? What didn't work? What do I maybe want to change? What did I have a really hard time completing? I did it, but what challenged me so much, and what did I do really well? Also think about your wins too. So with your business, Leah, I guess you're analyzing, right? So maybe analyzing how your marketing and sales went last month. What worked? What didn't work, right? I'm sure you have tools and platforms that you use to look back on what you've worked on. So this would be a really great time to save all of those tasks for this week. And
great. And then
right to you?
Numbers as well. Checking the numbers. But
review your data, review your reports. Maybe and especially when it comes to finances, it's a good time to look at where your money went last month. What was your spending like? Look at your bank accounts, review all those transactions, what was coming in, what was coming out. So you can get a better idea for when your follicular phase happens next week, when you're planning your money goals and making your blueprint. You have all that information. You just checked it out this week. You prepared yourself to know what you're going to budget for, because you know what went wrong and what didn't.
Awesome. I love that. What I'd really love is if anyone has any questions at this point, please feel free to put them in, and we'll try and cover some questions when we get to the end. So if there's anything in particular that you'd like to know from Davila or from me, specifically to do with maybe certain tasks that you'd like to be able to do during different parts of your cycle, leave a comment here and we'll come back to those in a bit. I've got a few what do we call them? Just quick
rapid
questions.
fire.
Yeah, that's the one. Rapid fire questions, just to make sure I'm on the same page so I understand that I'm getting the cycles right. So, what stage is the best for me to be thinking about budgeting?
Follicular phase, when your period's done.
Okay,
Period's done, budget.
cool, great. I'm going to put that in my diary. And what about for attracting more customers and like focusing on making sales?
Ovulation. Your communications is through the roof. So ovulation week, that second week right after follicular.
Okay, brilliant. And if I'm thinking about my strategy and my content, like the kind of higher level stuff, what time of the month should I be thinking about creating new content?
Yeah, so right after that ovulation is follicular. That's when you want to do that. Remember that as I like to call it like my to-do list time. Filling in the gaps. That's a great term for your luteal. Oh, sorry, luteal, not follicular. I meant to
Luteal.
say luteal phase.
Okay, cool. I was like,
Yeah,
what? We skipped back. That makes sense.
baby brain. It's a thing. I don't know how to master that yet. I can't tell you how to fix that with your
No
cycles.
judgment, no judgment. And then what about investing? So for me, I'm dabbling in investing. I'm trying to learn more. So I'm passively investing, but I'm still trying to learn a lot more. So when would you say is the best time for me to focus on trying to learn more about investing?
I would say when you're bleeding in your menstruation week, because
Hmm.
I'm assuming you're going to be doing a lot of reading, right? I'm someone who I'm actually trying to learn more about investing as well, and I have a really hard time doing it during learning about it on those weeks when I want to get things done, because all I
True.
want to do is just invest, but I don't know enough about it to just invest. So
Yeah.
save that for when you're sitting back and reading reports. I guess with investing, reading, using your menstruation week to look at what's happening in the world.
Mm.
Last month, what were the best stocks and
Like
what
trends.
companies are the best? Yeah, exactly, the
Yeah.
trends, so that you can plan for when you want to start investing in your follicular phase next week.
Nice. I like that. That's awesome. So, okay, cool. I think we've got like a really good overview there of some things that are good to prioritize at different times of the month. I'd love to know, just on a personal note from you, what's one thing about living with your flow that you didn't expect when you started implementing it in your life?
I'll say two things, okay, if that's okay. One
Sure.
is I didn't realize how well my partner was going to also sync up with me and my
Mm,
friends, and because I lived my life that way, I found I was approached differently. And I don't know if that's because I was expressing myself according to how I wanted to be, how I felt like I needed to express myself each phase. And I was just getting the response really well. So my relationship got better because we were able to communicate better. My husband, he's now my husband. He understood now when, when I wanted to talk about certain things and when I just wanted to read and be left alone, and there was never any argument. So that was actually a big surprising one for me, because I really just thought I was doing this for me, but it was, makes it better all around. And the second thing was boundary setting. I learned how boundary setting, I think, is really important for us to do with people in our lives so we can
right.
navigate relationships and even with work, relationships with work, our neighbors, our partners, our children. Um, and knowing that when I'm menstruating, and even when my energy is dropping before I'm menstruating, that I need to say no to things
Mm,
because I've got other things I need to work on that are really important to me personally, or I don't have the energy to work on those things, on certain things. So I have to say no more often.
mm.
And I allowed myself to say no because in my mind, I was like, my body can't handle this, so no. Versus, I don't want to do it, but I'll just do it. Whereas I
Not
had
sure why, kind of.
this really nice boundary. I had this line that I created, and I felt no guilt, none. So I found that was really important for me. That came out really well from following my cycle that I did not realize.
I love that. Good. I'm going to think on my boundaries too. I think that's another important thing to try and put in place for sure. Um, Davila, what is your go-to quote or like motivational quote that you live by to keep you going?
Um, Always do your best. That's it, period. The four agreements, that's one of them. And take steps to massive and perfect action. I heard that from a quote from a coach,
From a coach. I like that
and
one.
it changed me.
I love that. So doing something rather than nothing, even if you're
Yes.
not sure that it's done perfectly. I need a bit of that
Yeah,
in my
send it
life.
out there. If you've got it, send it. It'll come back if you have to fix it. Don't worry about that. If you got something good, just send it.
Yeah.
That's how I
That's what we're doing here on Facebook Live. We're starting
literally.
somewhere.
You threw me in this.
Yes.
I'm just doing my best.
You are doing your best. So what's the biggest area that you're curious about and why? So like, is there anything in particular that you're researching in this area?
So I haven't told anyone this. This is kind of my new something I've realized recently. But I really want to see how I can navigate motherhood according to my cycle. So I gave birth a year ago to a beautiful, beautiful little girl, your niece. And I, yeah, I didn't know beforehand how living with my cycle would possibly maybe negatively impact some people. And now with my daughter, I found that it's not just about me, right? That's something you learn. You have a kid. You know, you're not just solo out there. So when I do go through my cycle phases, I'm trying to learn how I can parent better, but differently for my weeks, because
Mm.
parenting's a big part of my life now. So, you know, when I'm menstruating, how can I parent in a way so that I don't over expel, but I'm also not just sitting on the couch doing nothing. You know, I need to find that middle ground. So both she still sees me um, as that very as a parent who's around all the time, mentally and spiritually and everything like that. But also I'm not, you know, on the floor every night, just completely wiped out. So I'm trying to navigate that. Yeah, I'm reading about it and I haven't mastered it. So not sure how that's going to go yet, but I'm looking forward to figuring it out.
Awesome. I love that. I know as well, just because I know you, that you are working on a journal. Can you tell us a little bit about that journal?
Yes. Um, we're it's in the works. It's journaling for your cycle. So as we've just talked about in this call, there are obviously different productivity levels that you go through throughout your cycle.
Mhm.
And it's nice to know that what I would benefit from myself is being asked the right questions at the right time
Mhm.
of the month so that I could enhance my productivity, feel my best, and get the most done when I know I need to, and just make the most of my time on this planet, with my people, with my work, with my family. So creating a journal was brought to me when I was going through my own journals that I have, and realizing some of the prompts that I would get or just some questions I'd get weren't relevant
Mm.
all the time, causing me to not want to journal because I just felt, you know, I'm not in the mood to write my gratitude list right now because I want to do something else. Whereas there are other weeks where I'd love to write down all the people in my life who I'm grateful for. So it's about just, and it's not just about gratitude. It's about also knowing when, you know, like we talked about today, when should I be working on my finances? What to do should I check off my list this week? It's a nice reminder. I think it'd be nice to have a nice reminder for each week of what you should be doing. And a
Absolutely. I
cute little
think,
journal, but it's
yeah,
something you can
it's
put in your
great.
purse.
Yeah, it's true. And you can also, that's like retraining you without you even having to consciously think so much. Because when you're journaling, you do want prompts. You do want that kind of reminder. Like for myself, I don't want to be trying to pluck out things from thin air. So knowing there's some
Mm,
information there on where I'm at with my cycle, I think would be amazingly useful. So I will
yeah,
be a customer for sure.
that's great. Thank you.
Oh. So you have a page that people can follow you on?
Oh, yes. I'm on Instagram. That's about
Hmm.
it.
And what's
Um,
the handle?
it's with my flow underscore.
Okay, brilliant. I'll post it in the comments after. Actually, if you could post it in the comments, that'd be amazing so people can find you. Um, and we do have a couple of questions there. So there's just one more thing. I want to first of all say thank you so much, Davila, for joining me this evening, taking some time out, and hope your baby's okay in the background. It's been really interesting. Thank you, Sula. She's posted your link there, so we've got it. But yes, it's been really insightful, and I'm excited to kind of journal tonight actually and go through and maybe plan some things for those different times of the month. As for me and how I can help anyone further, if you're interested, if you found this insightful, but you want to go a bit deeper into the finance side of things, you can learn more about your finances with me. I'm offering a session which is called Boss the Basics, which is a free one-on-one coaching session. I'll also post the link in the chat afterwards too, if you're interested in booking or finding out more information about what we do here at Get Comfy with Money. And now I'm just going to scroll back through all the comments because there were definitely some interesting questions there, and we'll probably spend the next 5 minutes, if that's okay, still with you, Davila, 5 more minutes of your time. Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay, brilliant. So we had a question from Danite. Hi, Danite. She says, how many days can the phases differ? Are they all a similar number of days?
So no, they're not. So when you have your period, and the period length changes for all of us, which I'm sure you know based on just having talks with any of your girlfriends. But assuming your period, we kind of save that on average for about 5 to 7 days. So day 1 through 7, plan for that to be your menstruation week. You'll know it's changed when 1, your period's over, and 2, your energy. You are energized to keep going, and so that would be your follicular phase, and that could be about 7 days as well. That's how I see that. And then your ovulation, sometimes it's a shorter one. It could be 4 to 5 days. You're usually only ovulating 1 day of the month where you can actually get pregnant, but the ovulation phase does have a window on either side. So I'd say those are about 5 days, and then your luteal phase could be 7 to 10, sometimes 14 days. That's your longest phase, the one before your period, which is hardest because that's when we experience PMS. So sometimes we're experiencing PMS for 2 weeks. So if you're not following your life with your cycle, so if you do, you start to lose a lot of those symptoms.
Nice. I want to get down to that level for sure. And Rennie, hello Rennie, she's asked, I'm curious about whether we are still affected by cycles after menopause. I think that Rennie joined after, but you did touch on that briefly at the start, so maybe talk a bit more about that again.
Yeah. I obviously don't have a lot of experience with this, but postmenopausal, it's known, and there's research on it, that we kind of shift away from that 28-day cycle to more of the 24-hour cycle that we were on before we even got our periods, like back before puberty. So, but it's also really beneficial from a productivity point of view to think of your life in these cycles. Think of each month having a season, and you can work your way through that, so you also don't get burnt out. So a good way to start is, like I said, using the lunar phases. So think of menstruation week as the new moon, and then think of 2 weeks later when it's a full moon. Think of that as ovulation, when you have more of that drive to go out there and be with people. So that's a really good way to start if you're postmenopausal, and also if you don't have a period for whatever reason. If you're on hormonal birth control,
we are speaking here about cisgendered women here, so women who bleed. So if you're not one of those women and you want to still experience living in cycles, that's some really nice advice. So next question we have from Sula May. She said, during your pregnancy, did you have cycles, obviously not bleeding, or was it all just out of whack? I like the way of phrasing that.
During my pregnancy, did I have bleeding?
Did you have cycles, not including the bleeding?
Oh, you know what? You have your trimesters. That's how I see it. You have your first, second, and third, and I was drastically different in each. I wouldn't say that each month I was going through changes. Also, pregnancy was really difficult the first 20 weeks for me, so I had no idea what's going on. And it'd be cool. And we really go week by week with pregnancy. So I never actually thought about it when I got pregnant. I kind of threw my cycle knowledge out the door, forgot about it, really didn't even think how it could have related to me. But I think I could have benefited really from even following the lunar phases during that time to just sync up with something, because it's so chaotic what you're going through when you're pregnant.
It's whole different rules, really.
Really crazy.
And Sula also says, I find it hard sometimes on my period because I only have a heavy flow for 2 days, and once it gets lighter, I still feel
Tired but no cramps. Good to know. I should take it easy for a week. Yes, I think we all
Mm-hmm.
resonate with that idea of liking permission to take it easy, right?
Yes.
And Kiara
I
says
love
she's
rest.
exactly the same. Yeah. So amazing. That's all of the questions that I can see in the group. Again, Davila, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time. It's been really insightful, and I'm, as I said, really excited to go away and start plotting out my months.
Yay, I'm so excited for you. You'll have to let me know how you go.
Yes.
Because I love talking cycles every day.
Good.
Call me whenever.
Cool. Amazing. And if anyone else wants to find out more from Davila, she's got that Instagram page, which is With My Flow. And thank you very much, everybody, for joining us this evening, this morning, wherever you are in the world. Thank you again. My name's Leah, and this is Get Comfy with Money. And next time, we're going to be talking to another amazing woman with a completely different topic. So please get in touch if you know anyone who you think would benefit to our community and help provide some amazing wisdom to the other women and men who are in this group, who are creative business owners or just trying to get on top of their finances. Thanks again, everybody, and have a lovely day, evening. Bye.
Bye.